Have you ever stumbled upon something old, something forgotten, and felt a strange pull, a whisper from the past? That's what happened to me. I'm an amateur historian, a glorified junk collector, some might say. My apartment is my museum, filled with antiques, each with a story. My latest obsession, a dusty, unassuming box of vintage photo slides I found at a flea market. They belonged to a man named Alistair Finch, a wealthy art collector from the early 1920s, now completely lost to history. I was excited. This was my chance to resurrect a forgotten life, to be the one who tells his story. I set up my old carousel projector, the clicks and whirs echoing in the quiet room. The first slide lit up the wall, a porcelain doll beautifully crafted, sitting on a velvet chair. The next, a silver locket, intricate and detailed. Then a grandfather clock, a leather-bound book, a tarnished brass spike. Slide after slide, it was a tour through a life of luxury. But something felt off. The photos were just of objects. No people, no landscapes, just things. They were framed like portraits, each one a subject of intense focus. It was less like a personal collection and more like a catalogue, a shopping list. I dug deeper into Alistair's life, piecing together fragments from old newspapers and society pages. He was known for his acquisitions, a polite term for his uncanny ability to get whatever he wanted. Priceless art, rare artifacts. If Alistair Finch desired something, it would eventually find its way into his collection. The newspapers hinted at scandal, at items mysteriously vanishing from other people as homes only to be discovered by Finch months later. The man wasn't just a collector, he was a thief, a ghost in the high society art world. And these slides, this wasn't just a record of his possessions. This was his hit list. The air in my apartment grew heavy. The clicks of the projector started sounding less mechanical and more like a countdown. Each image that flashed on my wall felt like an indictment. I was looking at stolen memories, objects ripped from their homes. A chill snaked up my spine when I realized the truth. Alistair hadn't just photographed these items. He had imprinted himself onto them. His obsession, his possessive spirit, was tied to the very light that had captured their image. His ghosts didn't haunt a place. It haunted things. I felt a sudden, paranoid urge to look around my own apartment, my collection, my beautiful, carefully curated things. The grandfather clock in the corner, its pendulum swinging silently. The rows of leather-bound books on my shelves, the porcelain doll I bought last year. Sitting on her velvet chair, my blood ran cold. It wasn't a coincidence. The doll on my shelf was the same one from the slide. Identical. My mind raced, trying to rationalize it. A popular model. A lucky find. But the feeling of being watched intensified. A suffocating pressure in the room. The projector clicked again. Another slide. A silver locket. My silver locket. The one my grandmother gave me, resting on my dresser. My breath hitched. This was impossible. These slides were 100 years old. How could they contain photos of my things? I fumbled with the carousel, my hand shaking, and pulled out a handful of slides. Holding them up to the light, I saw my grandfather clock. My rare first edition book, my brass spyglass. One by one, I saw my most prized possessions captured on century-old film. It wasn't that I had collected items similar to his. He had led me to them. His spirit, lingering in these slides, had guided my collector's eye. For years, I thought I was building my own collection, but I wasn't. I was rebuilding his. His ghost was using me, manipulating my passion to reassemble his stolen kingdom right here, in my home. And every object I brought in was another anchor for his spirit, another foothold in my world. The feeling of being watched wasn't paranoia, it was observation. He was here, looking at me through the cold, glass eyes of the porcelain doll, from the polished face of the silver locket, from the silent, stoic presence of the grandfather clock. Panic seized me. I had to get him out. I lunged for the dial, but as my fingers brushed against its porcelain cheek, a jolt, cold and electric, shot up my arm. The room seemed to tilt, the air shimmering. For a split second, I wasn't in my apartment. I was in a lavish, wood-paneled study. The scent of old paper and cigar smoke thick in the air. A man's reflection stared back at me from a polished desk, a man with cold, possessive eyes. Alistair Finch. The vision vanished, leaving me gasping on the floor, the doll staring down at me. I couldn't touch them. It wasn't them. You owned them. The projector, my friendly old machine, now felt like a weapon pointed at my head. It clicked. It clicked. A new image filled the wall, stark and terrifyingly familiar. It was a photo of my favorite antique lamp, the one right next to me on my desk, its warm light illuminating the very slides that were my doom. But the photo was different. It wasn't just the lamp. In the polished brass of its base, a distorted reflection was visible. A figure. Me. Sitting right where I was now, staring at the projector screen in horror. He hadn't just photographed the lamp. He had photographed it. Asterisk tonight, asterisk. The collector was no longer just in the objects. He was in the light itself. He was watching me through the lens of my lamp, through the glass of the clock face, through every reflective surface he now controlled. My own home, my sanctuary, had become a prison of 1,000 eyes. Every object was a spy, every shadow a hiding place for him. I was surrounded. Cornered, the projector clicked. The carousel was nearing its end. What would the last slide be? My car keys. The front doorknob. The very clothes on my back. He was systematically claiming every object around me, cutting off every escape route, possessing my life, piece by piece. Destroying the objects was no use. His spirit would just linger, waiting. The source was the slides, the images that held his memory, his very essence. They were the link. I had one chance. I had to destroy every single slide before he possessed the last thing in the room. Before he possessed me, I grabbed the metal box of slides, my heart hammering against my ribs. I had to burn them, shatter them, erase them from existence. The lights in the apartment flickered violently. The grandfather clock began to chime, its deep bongs counting down my final seconds. The doll's head slowly turned, its painted smile twisting into a predatory grin. The room filled with the whispers of a man who had been dead for a century, promising to add me to his collection. This isn't just a story I'm telling you. It's a warning. Be careful what you bring into your home. Be careful of the stories that old things carry. Because sometimes, when you look into the past looks back, and it might just decide it wants to stay. Thank you for watching. If you're fascinated by the chilling stories that objects can hold, hit that subscribe button. You never know what we'll unbox next. Stay curious, and maybe check your antiques, just in case.